Hi, Monica. I just want to check in and take a walk through the garden with you. In general, things are looking great. Well done. It's all pulled together nicely, super lush and very abundant. You've been doing good work in here. Right. First off, looking at the squash are coming along well. I know there's some powdery mildew and some spots, especially on the cucumbers, where we've had some feeding from the spotted lanternflies. To be perfectly honest, this is what everyone's cucumbers look like right now. So don't panic. You're doing great. I hope you got a chance to get a lot of good cucumbers off of them. There's still a bunch of good squash ready to go. I'm seeing some of these the little butternuts right here, the honey nuts, which are awesome. I just planted another row of peas underneath the trellis here for the fall, but if you don't want them, don't feel shy about scratching them out. As we come over, I see you've been planting some more lettuces that have been popping up well. This is great. Feel free to thin them down a little bit. So this is pretty densely packed right here. But just you can just kind of come in and just take a couple pinches out to thin that out so that they all get the space they need to do their thing, to get to a right size. On the other side, I put in some more heads of that romaine lettuce you said you liked right here. So we put in 8 more heads. We still have a couple more coming along in there underneath the celery. This celery is getting ready to harvest pretty soon, so don't feel shy about cutting either that whole head off and taking it as one big bunch, kind of like you might see in the supermarket, or if you'd rather, you can just cut some of the stems, the largest stems, off at the base. Let me get a good angle in here, cut some of the largest stems off at the base and then kind of keep the center of the plant going. It'll go until about October or so, but it's going to be pretty tender if we get some cold weather. So I'd probably recommend popping it out before then. That said, right behind them is the beets, and the beets are looking great and ready to harvest anytime. They're getting nice and big and chunky and should probably come out relatively soon. So there's a whole strip back there on the backside of this bed, and I would say the Badger Flame beets as well on the other side here are coming in really nicely, and this is about as big as we want them to get. So go ahead and pop, especially some of those larger ones, out whenever you get a chance. They're amazing, super good, awesome color, awesome flavor to them. I'm gonna come and I'm gonna tie up this butterfly bush just a little bit to try to get him up off of the carrots and the parsnips. Just trying to get them a little bit more light, but I will say the carrots are coming along well, so I'm kind of just exploring those shoulders, pushing the soil back, and some of these are getting to be just about ready. That'll be sort of a small carrot here, but certainly an edible carrot. So if you want, you can keep them in the ground until late September, October, and start harvesting sort of larger, more robust carrots then. But if you want to start sneaking some out now, don't feel shy. They'd be fantastic. Yep, here are our cucumbers. There's still some good cucumbers in there, so make sure that you continue to harvest off of these guys. To be perfectly honest, they're gonna probably be all finished off, especially this group over here. Those spotted lanternflies can carry some diseases in their stomach, and that's what's causing this chlorosis. So this, like the yellowing in between the veins. And so it's just as they feed on this plant, they move it around. So these guys, right, can get harvested from, and then if you want, you can take the whole plant out. I bet you're not going to get much more cucumbers off of this group right here. These guys still seem to be coming in pretty strong. So I would recommend probably leaving these guys. And again, lots of good sized cucumbers in here. So get a good harvest off of these guys. Speaking of, right, the basil in here is doing well. Can use another good harvest if you want to come in and make some pesto. Just cut it right above what we call a node. So where those leaves and stems are coming out, if you cut that stem right above that, this will regrow and keep going. But there's a whole bunch here, and we can take these guys. In general, we're trying to get it before it starts to flower. So you can see the flower right at the top here. As it flowers, the flavor tends to get a little bit spicier and more intense, which is the only reason for, trying to harvest it when it's at this stage right here, just as it's starting to develop that flower. Don't worry about the fact that it's harvesting flowers, or is starting to, if you're harvesting flowers or it's starting to grow flowers, this is just sort of the the ideal we're shooting for. If you do start to see flowers, don't feel shy about just pinching them off, and that tends to buy you some time right there. I usually just flick it over the fence. I will say underneath the basil, the eggplants are super happy. So we've got a lot of these ping tongue eggplants in here. Let's see if I can make some space. This guy is probably getting a little large, so he can get harvested when they're a bit smaller, more like this size right here, more sort of in that 6 to 8 inches range. But again, still good larger. You just might want to cook it a little bit longer. But there's a lot of those guys coming in. They look super happy. They're doing super well. Great color on the leaves, so they're getting plenty of nutrition. This is good. We're going to make sure we keep feeding them again for next year. These plants are annuals, so they'll be done in November with our first frost. But they're using a lot of nitrogen from that soil to get that nice, big, robust green leaf. And we want to make sure we put that nitrogen back in the soil this winter or early next spring so that next year's eggplants are going to be just as strong. Right next to them, our shishitos are coming in well. So it's a whole bunch of these guys. Feel free to harvest these. Get a big bag of them. And there's a whole bunch of those guys over there. As well as, there's some more shishitos on this side too, in that cage. Behind them, again, so we've got some nice big green bell peppers right here. This is a great one, large and heavy. Perfect if you want to eat them green, but if you want to leave it on the vine and let that ripen to a red color, you certainly can. We tend to get more peppers if we harvest them green. Behind the peppers, the tomatoes are growing like gangbusters. Your tomatoes are some of the best I've seen this summer, so good job. We've got a lot of red Marzanos all ready to harvest here, so get right in here and pick these guys soon before they get too mushy. Super happy. You don't have any squirrels nibbling on them, which is also very cool. Let's see. And then we also have a number of nice big pink caimans in here as well. So again, go ahead and harvest some of these guys. They're all perfectly ripe right now. On the other side of this bed, let me get around the other side. A lot of the cherry bomb tomatoes. Some have started to split, and that's just fine. I would probably chuck the split ones, but there's lots of good ones that haven't split yet. Sometimes they split just because as they ripen, they're probably a little overripe, and so the skin gets weaker as they get overripe. And then when we get a rain or they get a little extra water on them, it causes the inside to swell and grow faster than that skin can grow in response. And so rather than just enlarging, they split along a seam. Not the end of the world, but it just makes them not as good to eat. And you've got plenty of great ones that are ready to harvest. So it's, if you can, I know life is busy right now, but do a nice big harvest. And over here we've got our, let's see, the indigo apples on this side, which are looking fantastic, have kind of picked up that bluish tint on their shoulders really well. Some, as they've like gotten full ripe, start to lose that. As they lose that bluish tint on their shoulders, they really need to start coming off the vine soon, because they're probably going to split, probably going to get overripe and tender as things go along. But they're looking great. There's a whole bunch of them. And then on the far side, I'd almost say the star of the show. These guys are just gorgeous, and I haven't grown them before, so I'm happy to see how nice they look. But these are those Mai Tais, and the name is fitting. It's a great color, great Mai Tai color. But there's a whole bunch of these guys. So if you can get a chance to sneak in here and harvest some of these guys too. Again, just starting to split right here, which is just a sign that they're kind of full right up. So this is a really good moment to grab them. But if you can, come in and sneak a whole bunch of them. Probably a good weekend to make some sauce with, or find some friends and pass them around. Otherwise, right, the chives are looking great and can get harvested anytime just by kind of cutting this whole top right off and taking a bundle with you. And then right next to them along the line here, these bunching onions are doing well too. So these ones are about the size of a pencil, maybe a little bit larger, and that's perfect. So feel free to just kind of come in here and pull up any of those guys. I usually cut the bottoms off, but then chop the stems up and use them just like you would a normal onion. They're doing great. Herbs look happy. The lavender's coming in well. Again, we just need to kind of do a weed around them, but in general, everything's happy, everything's thriving. You have been working hard in here, and it shows. All right. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call or shoot me an email, and I'm happy to work through it with you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.